What's going on, everybody? LK here. It's been 6 months since Asuka came out. And when this character came out, there were so many videos, not just from people who play Guilty Gear, but just other fighting game content creators talking about how hard the character was, or how it's the most technical character they've ever seen. And after he came out, people tried him for a couple of days, myself included, and he quietly just went underground for like a month. But then the clips began. People started posting about Asuka's Exodia setups, and I did actually talk about how good I thought he was as a character a couple months after. I tend to do this for DLC characters, kind of just go through a checklist of things I think are important in the game, and does the character have them or do they not have them? But now 6 months in, there's another discussion around Asuka, which is he a broken, unfair character or not? People don't really agree about this. I mean, that's the title of the video, right? So many people consider him to be a good character in the game, but depending on who you talk to, they'll either tell you he's a broken character that ruins the game, he's a top tier character, or he's a very good character, but there's characters that beat him pretty cleanly. So for the character concept, Asuka has 4 slots assigned to punch, kick, slash, and heavy slash from left to right. At the start of the round, he is randomly assigned 4 of these spells, and people basically call his set of spells like a deck, and he has 3 of them. Test case 1, 2, and 3. He's able to switch in between them at will, and he's able to cancel spells into actions such as other spells, drawing a card in the deck, which would be another spell, recovering his unique resource, his mana, among other things. He's basically like a high APM, situationally strong character where you have to pay attention to what is coming, where as an Asuka player, you have to pay attention to what you have and make choices based on the situation. Because of this, he's a kind of hard character to actually practice, as in research, trading mode, right? Since a lot of things are based off situations, you have to play a lot of games to get comfortable with these things before you're able to really dig into the character. Thus, he has kind of a high skill floor. So the reason why people think this character is broken is because of 3 aspects of this character. One comes from one of his core tools. One of his core ways of playing neutral is by using these projectiles, these big cubes. Now, these are not quite projectiles. There's a lot of this in this game where some moves that look like projectiles, you input them like projectiles, but the game doesn't put them as a projectile. It puts it as something else, which means you need pretty unique counterplay for this. The reason why I used Baiken's Tatami right there is her ground Tatami Gaishi actually has a special property where the stomp kills all projectiles. And you saw that she just got smoked by the cubes, right? So for example, we have Kai's charge stun edge, hits 3 times, used a lot in Oki, after burst. You're pretty familiar with this move if you play the game. So Baiken has the ability to just delete the projectile. She could do this to Leo's H Fireball, she could do it to Jacko's minions in certain cases. There's a lot of moves that she can clear totally with the Tatami mat. But again, Asuka's cubes are not projectiles, so you can't interact with them normally with projectiles. You generally have to clear them out using normals or something, which means your ability to deal with them will vary greatly by the character that you play. The cubes have different speeds too, so if you're not used to handling these, it could be very difficult to deal with. Then if you don't know how to deal with them, then you're basically just sitting here watching him do this as he just pushes his turn, and you can't really do anything about it once you block it. So number 2 comes from the decks themselves. So again, he has 3, and each one sort of has a theme. So the test case 1 is full of spells that are generally used for neutral. He has a lot of water cubes in this deck, a lot of wind cubes in this deck, the extremely powerful acceleration staff that makes all his cubes go faster, and guard crush, among others. Test case 2 is filled a little bit more with spells focused on pressure. This is probably the least used out of the 3 in general play, where he has a lot of lows, overheads, and spells that have a lot of frame advantage. And then test case 3 is the second reason really why people are like, he's broken. So test case 3 has a lot of, I would say, unique spells, gimmicky spells, and support spells. So a lot of the sillier clips you've seen of this character are all on this test case 3. Test case 3 has spells such as the Metron Arpeggio, which is the double dice. He can teleport. He has both a magnet staff that attracts spells and a repulse staff that rejects spells. So this will pull in all the cubes here, just like that. And most importantly, the infinite mana spell, which makes it so you don't really have to recover mana. It would just automatically regenerate. Again, a lot of like the sillier clips you've seen of this character probably involve test case 3. The third reason why people think he's kind of broken is that he, like many characters like this, have a unique resource super. But it's not actually what you would think. So generally, when characters have a resource super, it would be around the actual meter. So in his case, it would be the mana meter, right? So something to restore the lost mana from casting a spell. If you watch this game at all, you're very familiar with this, which at a glance does nothing. When he uses it, he gets all his focus back, and he's able to use more focus for all sorts of pressure, neutral, all sorts of things like that. So what Asuka's super does is that it lets him look through his deck, basically deck searching if you play any TCG, and pull out what you want for the situation. So put together the previous point of test case 3 having a lot of super strong cards, and he's able to switch into test case 3 from neutral using pretty strong neutral spells like the water cube and the wind cube. You switch into test case 3. From that, you build some more meter because he's pretty good at building meter, and then use the bookmark super. You get the exact cards you need for the situation, which counteracts the he needs a lot of situational awareness, and you go from there and overwhelm them. And this is a pretty strong strategy for a character that's supposed to have an element of randomness to them. But the main reason why other people think he's fine is just it's a matchup thing. So not only would it might be the case that people don't know how to play against him very well, which is pretty common for the more unique characters. They have a lot of things where you need to know things specific about them so that you can counter their different structures or either how they approach neutral, offense, all that. There are some characters that do this trivially. So here I have Faust just, just blocking, taking the damage. He's actually pretty good at dealing with these cubes. Despite having a strong win condition, there are ways of fighting around this, and he does start every round with a random set of cards, so it's not even guaranteed that he will start in a good neutral situation. So as to how I feel, I'm not a big fan of characters like this. I know I said in a tier list video that I made maybe like a couple weeks ago at this point that I'm kind of tired of them adding characters like this, but I don't think he's broken. Like, there's definitely counterplay to like how he plays the game. It is very annoying to learn, and if you haven't actually practiced against him, he will definitely feel overwhelming. But that's a lot of characters. That's basically every character in this game. Not only that, but I also feel like you're not supposed to like every character in the game. I think fighting this would be pretty boring if you literally liked every character. There's some people who, if you want to take like Exert for example, there's a lot of characters I don't like in Exert, and there's a lot of characters I'm kind of like whatever about them, right? There's some people who legitimately like every single character in Exert. To me, doesn't make sense, but to them, that's the game they love, right? They just love literally everything about it, and that's fine. We're putting a lot of time into these characters if you're really taking the game seriously, so I feel like on the character design side, the goal is to get people to really like that character. It's not made for everybody, but for the people who are into that, hopefully they end up really, really, really enjoying it. So there are people who really like playing Asuka, there are people who really don't like playing against Asuka, or don't like the character's concept, were like me. That being said, I think there are too many characters that do this type of neutral stuff in the game right now. There's a lot of characters that are able to attack really safely from far distances and B+, and pull up on their own terms, and have really strong bursts because they can burst you immediately and just do the thing they were doing already, which I think is pretty annoying. If there was only a couple of characters, it's fine, but I think there's a lot of this in the game already, and we didn't need another one. But overall, I don't think he is broken. I just think he's very, very strong. I have seen tier lists rate him as a very, very, like, just straight up top tier, where I'm still not totally convinced that he's top tier, but I do want this character to be adjusted just so that there's just less of this style of character in the game, I cannot lie. But yeah, let me know what you think about Asuka. It's been 6 months. It's not really a mystery about like what the character does and stuff. He was not really changed in the Season 3 patch. They just changed his DP, so that's a hard knockdown. So he's had plenty of time at this point to just simmer and develop. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it. YouTube really likes it when you watch other videos. If you enjoy this video, feel free to watch another video or another character analysis or something, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.